Good morning. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at TWTR.com.
And I'm Chelsea Oliver. Welcome to today's morning call. European markets are up. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Let me get this right. Mario delivers a huge stimulus package today. European embassies are up, which brings our futures to the highest of today. Do you think this holds?
I think that we're actually penetrating levels that we saw last week. And this is a real time. It's a complicated situation because this news just came out.
Right.
So markets change, markets are fast, and at this point you have European indices at highs, you have our futures at highs, and at this point it feels like Draghi delivered versus just jawboning. So we'll see if it actually holds. If you look here at the EWG, you will see this time you had a really tight pattern here. Didn't really rally that much up to it, so we'll see if the DAX could hold gains and if the EWGs can take out these weekly highs. The weekly high here is 2470. And as far as our futures, Chelsea mentioned they're at the highs of the day, and yes, they are. So we need to take a look at the SPX. The SPX has been grinding higher above the 8-day moving average since the double bottom down here. So with that being said, we talked yesterday, what could happen? Either we're going to take out this 2009 and attempt to get through the 200-day and do an overthrow move and squeeze all the leftover shorts that think that we can't go any higher, or he doesn't deliver and we go lower. So at this point anyway, it felt as if the fix has been in, and now we'll see what happens here around this 2009. Let me go to the spiders because that's what we've been trading pretty consistently. So in my morning tweet, I put the little pivot here saying we've been holding the 8-day. If we can get above 200, perhaps we could get back and see a move north of 201.35. Well, that's where the market is right now. So the question is, do we push through and all the shorts get squeezed and come back below and create a upper red dog reversal, or do we push through, have a gap and go, and really inflict some pain to those who are just trying to play the cost average game, and there's a gap open all the way up to almost 203.87. So once again, when you're above the 8-day moving average and consistently hold it, you try not to just have short in the brain and roll up and fight the move.
Oil continues to grind higher. This has been a tailwind for the market. Scott, do you think that oil stocks will make weekly highs?
Yesterday the number came out and oil rallied again, and that's what helped keep our support in. So I would think that when the market makes new highs, oil will probably go with it. And then you have the oil names that were outperforming yesterday that are probably right at those weekly highs. So if we look at the XLE, if you remember we talked about the pattern here, when it took out this 58.20 at this night tight wedge, and then everyone started going a little nutty when this big wide range bar came in, but what did it do? It just took it back down to the 8-day moving average. So now you draw your little flag here, and at this point you'll see if the XLE can clear this spot. So this is pretty much the theme of the day. 62.46. We have last Friday's high. Can we get above and push above and stay above it, or does it get above and then come back below? And I think that's the majority of what I think traders should be looking at today. Can we hold above those highs or not?
Small caps took a well-deserved rest. Do you think that we'll see a red flag bull pattern developing?
I do. I think that you had this big feisty move, and we're all looking for a little bit of a break. And what did this do? Same kind of theme. The IWMs basically went to, broke out here. And what did this also do? Oh, look at this. Oh, what a quinky dink. It held the 8-day moving average. So if you happen to have been short because of this wide range bar, you had a little clue to cover at this 106.14. So now the question is, can this get back above the prior high and perhaps fill this gap, which it's a little bit lagging. So I would write down this resistance area, which is 108.99. Can it get above 108.99 and push or not? So this is the pivot. This is your important pivot for the day.
Bios continue to show relative weakness. Do you think this has anything to do with Hillary Clinton's Democratic nominee?
Well, I think people think she's going to be the nominee, and if you remember, like a month ago, she bashed about the expensive prescriptions and the profitability, and I think ever since she came out, the bios have just been out of play. There was a little one-day wonder, last week, and then since then they just dribbled lower. And I would just say even today, stay away. If one group, opens up with the futures that might be able to sell down, would probably be, the IBBs. So if you're looking to, short today or see if something can go from green to red, I would take a look at the bios, because the bios have been the laggard group.
The last 2 sessions, we've seen decent action in high beta tech. Which ones do you think are acting best?
The last 2 sessions, we looked at and ironed out support in Netflix, in Google, Amazon, and some of those names that we all love to trade. And the last 2 sessions, you did see Netflix hold up. You saw Google hold up. We'll get into the rest. And Amazon's been a little weaker. So let's just go over some spots that need to be taken out. Okay, so or where resistance comes in. If we were flat, I was thinking, can we take out this 98 in Netflix? And it's probably already here. So this is your key resistance for Netflix, which is 102 and change. Google, they took a lot of trades away from you where you had to be actually long, into today. One trade was right here. Your next resistance area is up here, closer to 735. Amazon did a little red dog reversal, into the 200-day again, or actually didn't even reach the 200-day. So maybe if you got long on this pullback, you're getting rewarded today. So all in all, these high beta tech names are not acting, phenomenal, but there are trades to do, and they'll probably be opening up. So we'll figure out whether or not it's a gap and go, or do they get sold. If you're long with me, if you go check out the VTF, I have 5 longs on. What you probably want to do is sell into the strength, and then figure out the complexion as the day unfolds.
We have mixed trading in the social media stocks. How would you approach them today?
Well, I'm actually long Facebook, and I'm long Twitter for 2 different reasons. One, Facebook, has acted best and closed the highs yesterday. And if you look here, you will see, this level did hold going sideways. And now the question was, can it get above this 108 to get back towards highs? So at this point, I think it's above 108. I did sell some, right after Draghi came out around 108.30s, but I'm going to hold the rest to see if it can get, back to highs. If it could reclaim this ascending channel here, I think that would be a bullish sign. But if you're long from, holding support, I would definitely trim as well. As far as LinkedIn, kind of out of play, but tight. Some think that at some point it's going to get into this earnings gap, which is all the way up here. For that to happen, it's going to have to clear, this little inside spot, which is 122. And but I'm not on LinkedIn. On the close, I figured, the risk reward for Twitter here, just for a chop trade, is probably decent. We caught a decent move when it, took out this 1870 area, and then went to 20. So back in, it probably shouldn't have come down that far. I figured, just be long a little bit, just for some type of scalp, and we'll see. Maybe it could get as high as 18 or so, and figure out if it could. It doesn't really look good, but I'm probably lucky the futures are up. We'll see if this gap up holds here in Twitter.
Any other closing thoughts for us?
Sure. There's always nice closing thoughts. At this point, if you're flat coming in today because you didn't want the risk of the ECB, that's fine. Your risk tolerance wasn't good enough or big enough to, take longs. And if you happen to have picked short, then you're going to have to really think about, your pain tolerance on whether or not, if we hold spiders above 201.35, you can really see, a move up towards 204. Just don't have opinions on it. And then if you're also, long, maybe you sell some, because if we don't hold that, that could be that, push through failure. Some guys were looking at gold. I just want to show you a quick little pattern on gold. Here was your small little topping tail, okay, where, this was when I actually sold it. This had a nice pattern here, and just to show you how you want to trade tight patterns. Well, here it was. You had your breakout day, and this was your reversal, and now it's holding the 8-day. So we'll see if that continues. Okay, so I would draw your trend line like this. It's getting a little wishy-washy. If you're long, only be long versus 1884. I just had a tweet asking me about Apple, so let's get into Apple, because I am long it on the VTF also. You had your first move in Apple here when it took out, this little spot, this 98 went to 103, came in, held the 8-day, which is why I bought it. So now we'll see, if it can get back to the prior high here of 103.75. Oop, another tweet came in asking me about Tesla, so I'll put that in my final thoughts. Tesla, wow, what a V bottom. Okay, I know that the Citron came out and said that it was going to go to 100 here. So if you just shorted it there, you know what? You're in some pain. So at this point, you want to see how it handles this pivot. This pivot here for Tesla is a 209.70, and then you have the 200-day, which should be big resistance around 213. I would not be chasing Tesla up here at 213. So all in all, we've had this big move, and there's probably a lot of trader anxiety out there for those who sold early, who are short early. So at this point, I think that they have to just figure out how to salvage it, or at least not get into so much trouble where it's hard to come back from. And there'll always be opportunities. It is only March. We're not even done with the first quarter, so don't let it get to you.
Right, and that's it for us today. So have a great trading day, everyone.